if I'm trying to climb the corporate ladder and let's say I started at the age of 30, assuming that I had some sales experience and maybe an MBA, I would go and work at a company, maybe try and get a job in the sales department, become the sales manager and the head of sales in a company. That's the fastest way to corporate success, I believe. I probably wouldn't have gotten a law degree if I had to do it over again. If I'm 30, I don't know if I go back and spend 3 years in law school or 4 years, or if I did, I wouldn't have gone and spent as much time really just learning the law, because I think that the future and everything, and because of AI, I think the future is a lot in commerce. I think there's going to be a lot of commerce, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I think tech is the future, but I don't think there's going to be any shortage of opportunities to provide amazing service, even in the face of AI. A friend of mine, Daniel Marcos, who worked with the Scaling Up organization, he says that there's going to be two kinds of people in the world. There's going to be people above the platform and below the platform. When you wake up, you're going to pick up your phone and see what you have to do as far as running your company, or you're going to pick up your phone and your app is going to tell you what you need to do for your job. So you're either above and you're creating content, or you're below and you're doing something that somebody else has created content for. And I think that's really where we're going as a society. So I always want to be on top of that, not on the bottom of it. And sometimes I'm on the bottom, sometimes I'm on the top. But the truth is I'm always looking for ways to create a system of business, something that will help leverage more people, provide more service, and provide more than they can provide now. And then hopefully they will be compensated and I'll be compensated for that. Let me be clear about this. I work as an entrepreneur and as a executive now. I don't feel that my legal education has prepared me for that, but doing the business that I do now, the legal education was the only way to do that. But if you're asking me, Greg, you're 30 years old, you got to start over again, would you go the exact same path? No, there's a lot more direct paths to get to be where I'm at right now than going the route that I took. I took the route, I kind of fell backwards into some opportunities. If you ask me to chart a very direct course to being successful in running a company that, grosses $50 million in revenue and has a couple hundred employees, I would say, go to the sales department first, become a sales manager, run a sales department, maybe get an MBA, and then you get into management. And there's many tech companies you could do really, really well with and provide some amazing service. That's a lot more quick than the route that I took. And I started back when I was in my 20s going to law school. So I had some time. If you asked me in my 30s what I would do that. I'm in a unique vantage point because I am through the entrepreneurship stage. I've already gone through that. And I'm looking back on the entrepreneurship stage and realize I learned a lot of lessons about running business as an entrepreneur. But to get above a couple hundred employees, maybe 250 employees, you've got to be a professional manager. You've got to be a professional executive. You've got to have that background and training. So that's where I'm at right now. That's my limiting factor. So if I wanted to do this again, the entrepreneurship ride was a lot of fun. I like entrepreneurship. In fact, I'm thinking about starting another company. I've started several other companies, but I'm thinking about starting another company. But if you ask me what's the most direct path to where I'm at right now, it would not have been the entrepreneurship route. It would have been a different route. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to listen to what I said, because entrepreneurs, you were like, screw that, I'm going to do it my way. And that's who I am too. So I'm charting a course for you. If you're 20 or 30 years old, where you want to become the head of a big company, that's the best way to do it. If you want to build your own thing, that's great. But you're going to get to 200, 300 employees and you're going to say, hey, listen, I need to get other professional C-level executives in here to run this company now. And that's going to become your limiting factor. It's called the founder's trap. So if you ask me, Greg, what's the best way to get to 100 employees? Entrepreneur. If you ask me, what's the best way to get to 200, 300, 500 with an international scope? I would say, go the corporate route, get your experience on someone else's dime, work real hard, prove yourself, and then maybe start your own company or get with a startup where you can help scale that company. The question comes up, how do you manage multiple businesses? And I used to say years ago that I was a serial entrepreneur, which means I didn't really do well in any particular business. And I had a lot of business failures, but that was good because it was an education. How do I do it now? Well, you have to do it by relationships. You have to work in and leverage your relationships. And what does that mean? Well, you find people who are really good at a particular skill. And then if you're the entrepreneur, there's really three types of people in business. There's the people who are the entrepreneur. There's the people who are the artists. This is a Tony Robbins thing. There's people who are the artists who like to actually do the work. And there's people who are managers who like to lead other people. And there's spillover skill sets, don't get me wrong, but basically three different types of people. The problem is that sometimes you confuse yourself with others. I know I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I start businesses, I grow businesses. Am I the best manager? Probably not. I'm a good leader, but I'm not a great manager. So I'm not good at the day-to-day. I find people who are good at the day-to-day, but I can see opportunities and I can see a vision and I can see what it takes to scale a company. That's my skill set. So fortunately, I have the cash now that I can go and start another business and say, okay, I want to hire this person. I give them an equity interest in the company. They're going to grow it up and they'll be the leader. You're the manager. And so we need to get professional leadership, and you scale the company and then you sell it, which to me as an entrepreneur, that's fine. You can sell it. I can't sell my law firm. The regulations are stacked against me for selling a law firm. but I can sell the other businesses. And so I really want to build something that's scalable and saleable. I have no interest in any of my other companies besides my law firm. I'm creating a service to provide an answer to a need. I love my customers. I love my clients. I love what I'm doing, but I don't love it so much that it has to always be my way. And so I always build with an eye towards what's the company really worth? Can you sell it? Can somebody else bring in other assets that will make the company even better? And again, this is the founder trap, because a lot of times we got to watch our egos. We get to a certain level, we think we know everything. That's really a limiting factor. When you're over 50 to 100 employees, you really start limiting your business if you don't listen to other people. It's really impossible to lead at that level where you think you've got all the answers. You just don't. Unless you're Steve Jobs and you're a tech company and it's just the tech that's going out there. And that's what Apple is really doing. Like, he was good at that. But even still, Tim Cook has taken the company Apple to another level. So you see that mentality has changed. I think the mindset shift happens for an entrepreneur when you get to be about 100 employees. And it's a mathematical equation. And why is that? Well, you can only manage 10 direct reports. Let's be honest. But you can only have a relationship with up to 10 people in your business. You're not going to know everybody. Over 50, you can't remember everybody's name. So you get to 10 people that you're managing and they're managing 10 people. That's about 110 people in the business. The business is no longer yours at that point. It's not yours. Now, I always look at my business as God, so I've never really thought it was mine anyway, except it has a lot of responsibility put on me for this. But the truth is that you are not exercising direct control in your business over 100 employees. You're not. You're acting through your team. And hopefully your team is getting the team to do what you want them to do and execute the way you want them to execute. And ideally, if you're a really good leader, you can begin to solicit feedback from your team of 10, and they can give you the information back to you, and you can help guide changes and improvements going forward. Like, I remember when I realized that I wasn't the best litigator in my firm or the best lawyer. That's a painful day. I realized I wasn't the best negotiator. My wife is a better negotiator than I am. I'm the guy who started the firm. I'm super organized. My wife is better in negotiating. And so it would irritate me, but I still maintain this thing. It's funny. We used to do this game. I would be the heavy. So my wife would go and negotiate. And at the end, I'd get on the phone and close the deal because I was the closer. Because I would also be not afraid to walk away from the transaction, from the deal. So that was always it. So we built in barriers. My wife can negotiate anything. Me, I'm not so good at that. I'm like, you don't want to do my deal? Screw you. I'm done. Well, it was like, okay, let's try that again. But that's a paradigm for the rest of your business. Every piece of my business, ideally, I've got somebody better than me in the business now. They didn't take the risks at the beginning. They weren't paying people during COVID. No one came back and said, hey, Greg, I know it's tough financially, so I'm going to take a pay cut. Okay, that's fine. But I get to share the upside when we come through it. That's the risk I take. So, and I'm well suited to that. And maybe it's a little unfair, but I actually don't think so, because I would lose my house where they wouldn't. That's the reality. If I had a choice between buying a business and starting a business, I almost always would start a business. When you buy a business, you don't always know what you get. Or you're buying into a culture that's already established, and you feel like you could bring in value to that for sure. But the truth is you don't know how hard it's going to be to institute a change. When you're starting a business, first of all, you learn all the little mistakes. And then secondly, grows up, good or bad, is going to be your culture. So you need to be able to change that and engineer the result. You know, it's funny. I was working out with my trainer this morning, and he asked me, he said, how's New York going? I said, it's going good. I'm better than Miami right now. I think it could be better than Miami in the long term. And he says, okay, so what does that mean? I said, well, I know what the problems are. And he says, are they easy problems? I said, no, wait. I'm more than 10 years in. All of the easy problems got solved 5 years ago. These are all really hard problems. My people can solve the easy problems. We got to put our heads together to solve the hard problems. So things get more and more difficult as you progress in business, if you're doing it right. If things aren't getting more difficult, you're not growing as a business. So you got to learn the lessons at first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. You got to learn about the people who are going to complain about $1 an hour and then go to the beach, and you got to learn how to fire those people, let them go. You got to learn about the people who are going to steal your documents. You learn about the people who are going to submit false invoices, or the guys who are going to raid the lunchroom, the lunch you provided for your employees, and they'll take 20 burritos in their backpack, home, put cameras up.
Hey, so if you like today's video, share, like, and subscribe.